Hey guys, tonight we slip into the mist-shrouded hills of ancient Japan, where samurai swords flash like lightning under a blood-red sky. You're crouched behind a gnarled pine, heart pounding as two warriors face off on a bamboo bridge. Their katanas gleam, movements so precise they seem choreographed. Yet one false step means death. Why do samurai fight with such elaborate swordsmanship, you wonder? Spoiler: you probably won't survive this duel if you try copying them. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop your location and local time in the comments. I'm curious where you're drifting off from tonight. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're standing in Japan's Yayoi period, around 300 BCE, where the seeds of samurai swordsmanship first take root. Iron weapons are new, clunky things, but they're already changing how tribes settle scores. Fast forward to the Heian period, 794 Levelman 85, and you see mounted warriors, early samurai, wielding curved tachi blades. These aren't just tools, they're status symbols, forged with a reverence that borders on worship. Historical fact: the curved blade design, perfected by the 10th century, lets samurai slash from horseback with deadly efficiency. But here's a quirky tidbit. Some warriors believe their swords held spirits, whispering battle advice if you listened closely. Creepy, right? You notice these early fights aren't the balletic duels of later years. They're brutal, practical, about landing one good hit. So, why the elaborate moves? It starts with culture. Japan's aristocratic courts love refinement. Think poetry slams with extra cherry blossoms. Warriors, wanting to impress, begin stylizing their combat. You watch a samurai practice kata, repetitive forms that turn slashes into art. It's like watching a dancer, except the prop could decapitate you. Historians still argue whether these early kata were more about show or skill. Did they actually make warriors deadlier or just fancier? You're drawn to a training ground now, where a grizzled samurai barks at his student. "Again!" he yells as the kid swings his wooden bakken. Every move is deliberate. Step, pivot, strike. It's hypnotic, but you smirk, imagining this guy trying to explain footwork to a modern gym bro. The training isn't just physical, it's mental. Samurai are taught to face death without flinching, to make every swing an extension of their soul. That's the kicker. Swordsmanship isn't just about killing, it's about embodying an ideal. By the Kamakura period, 1185 1533, samurai are Japan's ruling class. Their swords are sharper, their moves more polished. You see a duel at dusk, two warriors circling like predators. The crowd holds its breath. One lunges, his blade a silver arc, and you realize this isn't just combat, it's theater. The elaborate style is starting to emerge, driven by pride and the need to stand out. You chuckle, picturing a samurai strutting like he's on a medieval catwalk. But don't laugh too hard. One glare from those guys, and you'd be running. As night falls, you linger by a lantern-lit shrine. The samurai's world is harsh, but there's beauty in its discipline. Swordsmanship, you're starting to get, is more than fighting. It's a way of life, woven into Japan's soul. And we're just scratching the surface. Stick with me, because next we'll dive into the forge where these legendary blades are born. You're in a smoky forge, the air thick with charcoal and reverence. A swordsmith, face etched like old leather, hammers glowing steel, sparks dancing like fireflies. This is where samurai blades, katanas, are born, and it's no assembly line. Each sword is a sacred act, a soul forged in fire. You're here to see why these weapons demand such elaborate swordsmanship. The katana's creation shapes how samurai wield it. And trust me, it's a process that makes your microwave dinner look like a crime. The smith chants softly, folding molten steel like dough. Historical fact: by the 13th century, Japanese swordsmiths perfect a technique layering hard and soft steel, creating blades that are razor sharp yet flexible. This isn't just metallurgy, it's alchemy. The katana's curve, its balance, lets you slice through bamboo, or worse, with a flick. But here's a quirky tidbit. Some smiths fasted for days, believing hunger purified their spirit for forging. Imagine crafting a masterpiece on an empty stomach. You'd probably just burn your toast. You watch the smith quench the blade in water, steam hissing like a dragon. This moment, he believes, traps a spirit in the steel. Samurai treat their katanas as partners, not tools. You smirk, picturing a warrior apologizing to his sword after a bad swing, like it's got feelings. But it makes sense. When your life depends on a blade, you respect it. The katana's design demands precision. A sloppy cut wastes its edge. That's why samurai obsess over form, turning combat into choreography. Historians still argue whether spiritual beliefs slowed or sped up sword-making progress. Did rituals make smiths meticulous, or did they cling to outdated methods? You ponder this as the smith polishes the blade, revealing a hamen, a wavy line like a frozen river. It's beautiful, but deadly. The katana's weight, about 2 pounds, feels perfect in your imaginary grip. You try a practice swing and nearly trip. Okay, maybe leave it to the pros. You step outside, where a samurai tests his new blade on a straw dummy. One slash, and it's halved like butter. The crowd murmurs approval, but the warrior's face stays stone cold. This isn't just about cutting, it's about mastery. The katana's craftsmanship forces discipline. You can't just hack like you're chopping firewood. Every move must honor the blade's perfection. You chuckle, imagining a samurai at a modern knife skills class, outshining everyone with his 700-year-old vibes. The forge's glow fades as you wander to a nearby stream. You notice how the katana's creation mirrors samurai training: patience, precision, a touch of mysticism. Remember that spirit whispering sword from last section? It's starting to feel less crazy. The blade's sacred status elevates swordsmanship from survival to art. You're itching to see how this plays out in combat. But first, let's talk about the code that binds these warriors. Bushido's calling, and it's got some strict rules. You're kneeling in a tatami mat hall, the air heavy with incense and tension. A samurai sits before his lord, katana at his side, eyes like steel. This is Bushido, the warrior's code, and it's why samurai swordsmanship is so elaborate. You're about to see how honor, not just skill, shapes every swing. It's less about winning and more about fighting right. One wrong move, and you're not just dead, you're disgraced. No pressure, right? Bushido, formalized by the 17th century, demands loyalty, courage, and self-control. Historical fact: during the Kamakura period, samurai were expected to die for their lord without hesitation, making combat a test of spirit as much as strength. You watch a duel outside, two warriors moving with deliberate grace. Each step, each slash, screams discipline. Their elaborate forms aren't just for show, they're proof of devotion to the code. You snicker, imagining a samurai getting a needs more honor performance review. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some samurai wrote poetry before battle, as if rhyming helped them face death. Picture you scribbling haikus while dodging arrows. Yeah, good luck. But it shows how Bushido blends art and war. Swordsmanship becomes a dance of values. Precision signals respect. Restraint proves mastery. You try mimicking a stance, feeling like a kid playing ninja, but you get why every move is calculated. A sloppy cut shames you, your blade, and your ancestors. Historians still argue whether Bushido was a rigid rulebook or a loose ideal. Did it really govern every fight, or was it romanticized later? You ponder this as a samurai corrects his student's grip, voice calm but firm. Your sword is your soul, he says. The kid nods, sweating. The code makes swordplay elaborate because it's not just about killing, it's about embodying virtue. Every kata, every flourish is a nod to duty. You wander to a courtyard where a mock duel unfolds. The crowd gasps at a perfectly timed parry, like it's a Broadway show. You chuckle, thinking these guys would have slayed at medieval talent night. But it's deeper than theatrics. Bushido elevates combat to ritual, demanding moves that reflect inner strength. Remember that spirit-forged katana from the forge? It's Bushido's partner, turning slashes into statements. As you leave the hall, you feel the weight of honor. Next, we'll see how samurai train to live up to it. You're on a dusty training ground, dawn painting the sky pink. Samurai sweat through padded armor, wooden bakken clacking as they spar. This is where elaborate swordsmanship takes shape, where raw recruits become masters of Kendo's ancestor. You're watching the grind behind those flashy duels, and it's brutal. Think boot camp with sharper stakes. These drills are why samurai moves look like art, and you're about to feel the burn just watching. Historical fact: by the Muromachi period, 1336 to 1573, samurai trained in dojos with kata set patterns that drilled muscle memory for combat. You see a teacher bark at a student, lower your stance. The kid's legs shake, but he adjusts. These kata aren't random. They mimic real attacks, parries, and counters. They're the root of modern kendo, where bamboo shinai replace steel, but the spirit's the same. You try copying a swing, nearly pulling a muscle. Maybe stick to yoga. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some dojos used live blades in paired practice, trusting partners not to slip. Imagine the trust fall from hell. One twitch, and you're sushi. This precision training makes swordsmanship elaborate. Every angle, every step is etched into bone. You watch a samurai flow through a kata, blade whistling. It's hypnotic, like a dance, but one wrong move could end you. Historians still argue whether kata were practical or performative. Did they win wars or just look cool? You move closer, catching the teacher's lesson. Control your breath. Control your blade. It's not just physical, it's mental. Training builds focus, making elaborate moves second nature. You chuckle, picturing a samurai at a modern mindfulness retreat, schooling everyone with his Zen vibes. But it's no joke. Kata link body and mind, turning chaos into order. Remember Bushido's honor from last section? Here, it's drilled into every lunge. As the sun climbs, you see students spar, their moves polished yet fierce. The crowd nods approval, but you notice something. These kata are theater too, showing off skill to rivals. It's like a medieval flex, and you grin, imagining them posting this on samurai TikTok. Training, you realize, isn't just about fighting. It's about perfecting an ideal, blade and soul in sync. As you leave the dojo, you're curious how this precision plays out in a single, deadly draw. You're in a quiet garden, cherry blossoms drifting like snow. A lone samurai kneels, katana sheathed, eyes closed. This is Yaido, the art of drawing the sword, and it's the pinnacle of elaborate swordsmanship. You're about to see why samurai obsess over one fluid motion, where life and death hinge on a single breath. It's meditative, deadly, and honestly makes your morning stretch routine look pathetic. Historical fact: Iaido, formalized in the 16th century, trains samurai to draw and strike in one seamless move, often from a seated position. You watch the warrior rise, hand gliding to his hilt. In a blink, the blade flashes, cuts an imaginary foe, and returns to its scabbard. It's over before you process it. The precision is insane. Every angle, every muscle is deliberate. You try mimicking the draw, nearly knocking over a lantern. Yeah, stick to spectating. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some Iaido masters claimed they could sense an attack before it happened, like a sixth sense. Picture you dodging a ninja ambush because your spidey senses tingled. This mysticism shapes Iaido's elaborate forms. It's not just about speed, but intent. The samurai repeats his draw, slow this time, like a monk in prayer. Historians still argue whether Iaido was practical for battle or a spiritual exercise. Could it really stop an ambush, or was it more about inner calm? You notice the silence, broken only by the blade's soft click back into its sheath. Iaido isn't just technique, it's mindset. The samurai trains to act without hesitation, to make the draw an extension of his will. You chuckle, imagining him at a modern quick draw contest, outclassing cowboys with his Zen vibes. But it's deeper. Iaido refines the katana's soul, that forged spirit we saw in the smithy. It's Bushido in motion, honor in every cut. As you wander the garden, you see students practicing, their draws less fluid but earnest. Each move is a ritual, linking body, blade, and breath. You grin, picturing a samurai teaching Iaido at a community center, baffled by yoga mats. But you get it. Iaido's elaborate precision is about mastering chaos, one draw at a time. Next, we'll see how this elegance holds up in the mess of actual combat. You're on a muddy battlefield, air thick with sweat and fear. Samurai clash, katanas flashing through dust clouds, screams echoing. This is war, raw, chaotic, and you're here to see if their elaborate swordsmanship holds up, or if it's just dojo flair. Those graceful kata and iaido, draws you saw feel distant now. Can the samurai's polished moves survive the carnage, or are they more ritual than reality? Spoiler, it's messier than you think. Historical fact: during the Sengoku period, 1467 to 1603, samurai fought in pitched battles, often on foot, where katanas were secondary to spears and bows. You watch a warrior dodge a yari thrust, his blade arcing to parry. His footwork, straight from dojo kata, keeps him alive, but it's not balletic, it's desperate. The elaborate forms are there, but stripped down, practical. You try imagining yourself in the fray, tripping over armor. Yeah, you'd be toast. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some samurai carried fans into battle, not for cooling, but to signal troops, or maybe to flex their style. Picture you waving a fan while dodging arrows, looking fabulous but doomed. This flair hints at why swordsmanship stays elaborate, even in war. It's not just about killing, it's about presence. A samurai's precise slash, even in chaos, marks him as elite. Historians still argue whether elaborate moves were effective or performative. Did they win fights or just boost morale? You focus on one samurai, his katana weaving through opponents. His cuts are sharp, deliberate, like iaido in motion, but there's no time for flourish. The battlefield demands economy. Every move counts. You chuckle, picturing him practicing these slashes in a dojo, now using them to survive. It's clear, elaborate swordsmanship isn't just show. It's training that hones instincts. Remember that forged katana soul? Here, it's the samurai's discipline, cutting through panic. As the battle slows, you see survivors clean their blades, movements ritualistic even now. The elegance persists, a nod to Bushido's honor, but it's tempered by necessity. You grin, imagining a samurai at a modern reenactment, schooling everyone with his war-worn vibe. War tests the art, but doesn't break it. Next, we'll explore how Zen sharpens this deadly dance even further. You're in a Zen temple, incense curling like ghosts in the dim light. A samurai sits cross-legged, katana across his lap, breathing slow as a mountain. This is where Zen shapes swordsmanship, making it more than slashes and parries. It's a path to clarity. You're here to see why samurai weave meditation into their elaborate moves, turning combat into something almost holy. It's calm, but don't relax too much. That blade's still sharp. Historical fact: by the 14th century, Zen Buddhism, embraced by samurai, taught mental discipline, helping warriors face death without fear. You watch the samurai meditate, his focus absolute. In battle, this clarity lets him move with precision, each cut deliberate, no hesitation. Zen makes elaborate swordsmanship possible. Without it, those fancy kata would crumble under pressure. You try sitting still, but your mind wanders to pizza. Yeah, you're no monk. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some samurai practice zazen meditation beside waterfalls, believing the roar sharpened their focus. Picture you meditating under a shower, claiming it's warrior training. This Zen influence makes swordplay elaborate. It's not just about hitting, but flowing like water. Historians still argue whether Zen truly improved combat or just soothed samurai egos. Did it make them deadlier or just calmer? You notice the samurai rise, performing a slow kata. Each move is deliberate, his breath synced with the blade's arc. It's Aiaido's draw, but softer, like a prayer. Zen teaches him to act without thought, letting muscle memory guide the katana. You chuckle, imagining him at a modern stress relief class, out-zenning everyone with his sword. But it's serious. Zen links the katana's soul, that forged spirit from the smithy, to the samurai's mind. As you leave the temple, you see students practicing, their moves serene yet lethal. Zen's calm fuels the elaborate forms, making chaos manageable. You grin, picturing a samurai teaching mindfulness with a blade, scaring the yoga crowd. Remember Bushido's honor, Zen's the quiet strength behind it. Next, we'll dive into the rival schools that turn swordsmanship into a secretive art. You're in a shadow dojo, tension crackling like static. Two samurai from rival schools face off, hands hovering near their katanas. This is the world of competing swordsmanship styles, where secret techniques and elaborate moves are guarded like gold. You're here to see why samurai made their swordplay so intricate, driven by pride, rivalry, and a touch of paranoia. It's less a fight and more a chess game with blades. Historical fact: during the Edo period, 1603 to 1868, swordsmanship schools like Yagyu Shinkaji Ryu and Ito Ryu proliferated, each claiming superior techniques. You watch the duel, one samurai's fluid arcs clashing with the other's sharp, linear cuts. Their styles are distinct, polished to perfection, and deliberately complex, elaborate to outwit rivals. You try mimicking a stance, nearly twisting an ankle. Okay, leave the fencing to them. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some schools hid their best moves in coded scrolls, only teaching them to trusted students. Imagine you sneaking a peek, only to find samurai homework worse than algebra. This secrecy fueled elaborate swordsmanship. Complex techniques were harder to steal. Historians still argue whether rivalries advanced swordplay or just bloated it. Did competition sharpen skills, or create pointless flash. You notice the dojo's walls, lined with banners boasting each school's lineage. Teachers drill students in unique kata, moves so intricate they're like signatures. One school favors low, sweeping cuts, another sudden thrusts. The elaboration isn't just practical, it's branding. You chuckle, picturing a samurai pitching his style like a medieval influencer. Subscribe to my dojo, but it's deeper. Secret techniques like Zen's clarity or Yaido's draw tie to Bushido's honor, proving mastery through complexity. As the duel ends in a draw, both warriors bow. Respect, cutting through rivalry. You see students whispering about hidden forms, their eyes wide. The elaborate moves are a game of one-upmanship, but also a craft, each school refining the katana's soul. You grin, imagining a samurai at a modern martial arts expo, flexing his obscure kata. Rivalries made swordsmanship a labyrinth. Next, we'll see how peace turned it into pure spectacle. You're in a bustling Edo street, lanterns swaying, the air alive with festival hum. Samurai strut through the crowd, katanas gleaming, their movements more performance than preparation. This is the Edo period, 1603 to 1868, a time of peace where elaborate swordsmanship becomes a spectacle, less about survival and more about status. You're here to see why samurai leaned into theatrics when wars faded, turning their blades into props for showmanship. It's dazzling, but don't trip over a sandal trying to keep up. Historical fact: with Japan unified under the Tokugawa shogunate, samurai faced few battles, shifting their focus to ceremonial duels and public demonstrations. You watch a samurai perform a kata before a crowd, his blade carving air with flourishes that scream, "Look at me." Each spin, each pause is deliberate, designed to awe. It's elaborate to the max, like he's auditioning for a samurai blockbuster. You try copying a twirl, nearly knocking over a sake stall. Yeah, stick to clapping. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some samurai hired out as stunt performers for festivals, earning coin with flashy sword tricks. Picture you juggling katanas at a county fair, praying not to lose a finger. This showmanship made swordsmanship elaborate. Without wars, samurai needed to prove their worth through style. Historians still argue whether these displays preserved skills or diluted them. Were they keeping traditions alive or just playing dress up? You move closer, catching the samurai smirk as the crowd cheers. His kata weaves Iaido's precision with kendo's flow, but it's dialed up for drama. Peace lets samurai refine moves without fear of death, making every gesture a statement. You chuckle, imagining him at a modern cosplay event, stealing the show with his 17th century swagger. But it's not just ego. Elaborate forms tied to Bushido's honor and Zen's calm keep the katana's soul alive, even in peacetime. As fireworks bloom overhead, you see young samurai practicing nearby, mimicking the master's flair. The crowd loves it, but you sense a shift. Swordsmanship is now art, less about combat and more about legacy. You grin, picturing a samurai TikTok with hashtag Edo vibes. Peace turned warriors into performers, but the discipline remains. Next, we'll see how this legacy echoes in modern Japan. You're in modern Tokyo, neon lights buzzing, a world away from Eido's lanterns. Yet, in a quiet dojo, practitioners in crisp hakama swing bamboo shinai, their kiai shouts echoing. This is the legacy of samurai swordsmanship, where elaborate moves live on in kendo, iaido, and Japan's cultural pulse. You're here to trace how those ancient kata and flashy duels shape today's world, from martial arts to movies. It's a bridge from past to present, and you're walking it with a front row seat. Historical fact: Kendo, standardized in the early 20th century, draws directly from samurai training, preserving kata in competitive and spiritual forms. You watch a kendo match, fighters lunging with precision that feels like the dojos of old. Their moves are elaborate, rooted in those muromachi drills, but adapted for safety and sport. Iaido practitioners nearby draw steel with the same reverence as their Edo ancestors. You try a kendo stance, feeling like a kid with a toy sword. Okay, maybe cheer instead. Here's a quirky tidbit. Samurai swordplay inspires Japan's pop culture, with anime like Demon Slayer choreographing katana fights that echo historical styles. Picture you geeking out at a cosplay con, spotting a Tanjiro wannabe nailing a water-breathing form. This cultural echo keeps swordsmanship elaborate. Every flourish in media or martial arts carries Bushido spirit. Historians still argue whether modern practices truly honor samurai traditions or romanticize them. Do they capture the real thing or just the vibe? You wander to a film set where a stunt coordinator drills actors in katana choreography. It's the Edo Festival flair, reborn for the screen, with Zen's calm and rival schools' flair woven in. You chuckle, imagining a samurai time-traveling here, baffled by CGI, but nodding at the sword work. The katana's soul, forged in fire, still cuts through time. Its elaborate moves now inspire discipline and art worldwide. As you leave the dojo, the city hums softer, lights dimming. The samurai's elaborate swordsmanship, born in battle, refined in peace, lives on. You grin, picturing a samurai at a kendo world championship, quietly approving. It's a legacy of precision, honor, and a touch of showmanship, forever Japan's heartbeat. Now, let's slow down. Your eyelids growing heavy as Tokyo's glow fades. Picture a lone katana resting in a lacquered stand, moonlight tracing its curve. Each elaborate move you saw, kata, iaido draws, festival twirls, melts into a quiet rhythm, like waves lapping ashore. You're safe, wrapped in the samurai's discipline, their zen calm washing over you. No battles tonight, just the soft hum of a fan, the world gentle and still. Drift off, imagining a bamboo grove, blades silent, spirits at peace. Sleep deep, dreamer, carried by the echo of a warrior's grace. Good night.